Hello everyone. We have a game with the white pieces against a lull mine rated 1333 who goes e5 on move 1. A lot of people have played this against us, although they didn't follow it up like this. Whatever, we're just going to develop. We don't really care what he's doing. Let's bring our king's knight out to the center. He's attacking the pawn, but no one really cares. We're going to play e4, opening up our bishop. He spends another turn capturing. We're just going to ignore him. We develop another piece towards the center. He now spends another turn making a trade, helping us develop our queen. So now we have a pawn presence in the center and better development than him, an open bishop. He now wastes another turn with his queen because he didn't get to do any of the tricks that he's used to on this diagonal. The downside here is that we have better development. We can do whatever we want, generally just with a better position. So what do we want to do? We could develop, that makes sense. If we throw the knight in, he gets a queen, check, he goes over. That doesn't work. I kind of wanted to keep my threats alive. I'm definitely not going to help him develop, so that's a weird square though. I'm going to develop and block the trade. It comes for free with a threat and it helps long castle, so it does a ton of things in once. So he blocks the diagonal, which I'm happy to see because it blocks in his own bishop. It does open this bishop, but can't really go anywhere that matters. Now we have moves like e5 even at some point. We have moves like knight d5. If we hit the queen, maybe he's trying to go here. Let's just keep it simple. Let's long castle. This happens to protect the b2 pawn, develop the rook. We have a look. He only has a queen now. Look what we have. It's not even comparable. It's just much better already, even though we're not up anything. They keep playing this weird e5 gambit, but it keeps not working out for them. So he develops the knight to its square, which happens to counter our knight a little bit. That's fine. We can continue developing. That seems to be reasonable. If his knight did come here and hit our bishop, I mean, we don't. I still want to avoid the queen trade. So I kind of want to move my queen just to avoid anything on the bishop that would force me to make a trade. And also the queen on the e-file is better than the other file because it supports an e5 pawn push, which we're ready to play even next since his king's in the center. It also coordinates and creates a battery with the bishop, so I have other possibilities. So it's a strong move actually. Now when I jump my knight in here, even though his knight's countering, if he takes and we recapture, that comes with a check, which can be annoying potentially. So he wastes an entire move going a6, stopping my pieces from coming here, which I'm happy to see. So now I'm considering kicking the queen in one way or another. If I just pawn thrust, and he takes, and we take, if he tries to force the queen trade, we could just bring the bishop back. You could try to just develop and bring another rook here, but I feel like we have the opportunity to do something more immediate. Here, check. He blocks with the bishop. No, let's definitely push. Yeah, Yeah, let's push this. This seems like the right thing to do. His king is stuck in the center. We want to open things up for our pieces. And I only want to bring this bishop out when it comes with some great effect or tempo. So I saw he could counterattack my queen, but he has to give up a piece for this, right? Like I could take a queen, he takes a queen, but I get a knight. He doesn't get a knight. Alright, so this comes with check, so he has to take me. And now I get a piece and he gets a pawn. But maybe I could even take this first. Although I don't want to help his bishop, so let's take the knight, but with which piece? Probably this one. Just maintain my pawn structure. And now he just gave up a knight and got a pawn in return. Although now he doesn't have to worry about getting checkmated right away, like with the queens. So he gained a little bit of mental security. But now it's just a lost game because you're down a piece. So anyway, you could develop a piece, but I don't like mindless developing. Bishop e2 is a good move, but I could improve a piece for free with strong threats. It takes priority over just a good bishop e2, which does have a lot of scope, so it's a very nice move you would want in your position, but there's more immediate opportunities. So he moves his king to avoid the fork. We could immediately take a pawn, but then he could fianchetto his bishop with threats. Not that that's necessarily a thing, because we could go here, he kicks us, we go back. And then we have discoveries on his king. It's fine. Kind of just want to develop though. Okay, let's just take it. Free stuff. Couldn't help myself this time. Okay, he doesn't even go for it. He just develops his bishop. He attacks a pawn. I mean, it makes sense. King b1 protects everything. That wasn't the only move, but might as well. Keeps all the pawns, you know, from moving. Not that you mind moving them, but it just looks nice. We're up a piece. We could just move the pieces and try to trade some stuff. He moves his king to try to kick the knight. But this runs into the idea I mentioned before with discoveries. He'll probably try to kick it, but h4 is an outpost, so I could just sit there forever. And the game is over, but it was a good try. And the thing is, he can't get his king off the diagonal because of the knight. Interesting construction. And now when we move the bishop, maybe we could pin the other bishop with the rook. I wonder why they're thinking. Okay. So he goes here, which threatens to win the knight, but allows discovered checks. I guess he's counting on f6 as the response to the discovered check. But knight d5 is a double check, so he has to move his king. He'll probably move it here. And then you could just continue with the game up your piece. If you just move it somewhere else, like let's say you take the pawn with check, and he goes f6. Now he's hitting your bishop. Yeah. So let's just go for the double checks. He has to move his king. There is no f6. And then we could just bring a piece out. Okay, as expected, he goes here. You could bring your bishop out. You could even play c4, which is a nice way to support the knight with a pawn. Although, it's kind of unnecessary. Okay, I'm gonna do a very primitive bishop e2 to f3 idea. You could have developed it, you know, all the way out here, but after he hits you with pawns, I don't really want to put it on that diagonal. I wanted to put it on this diagonal. So he takes, you know, unnecessarily. I guess the knight was putting pressure on his position. He didn't like it, but he just gave up a bishop. Now he hits our bishop, but we can put it on the square we wanted, and he can't infiltrate anywhere. All of these squares are covered. That's a lot of squares on the e-file. And now we could just take our time. We're up a light square bishop. So the easiest thing is to trade rooks as quickly as possible. Doesn't that hang a bishop? What's that? What? Okay. I mean, the game was over anyway. Hopefully they just resign after this. That was weird. Okay, they still play. They just moved the rook. Some weird stuff. I'm going to kick the rook. They're obviously trying to settle it in there. And I figured they might do this, which walks into a nice pin. And the reason is because there were no available squares. The only two were the one it came from, and then e6. So I figured he would go to e6. So he's trying to counterattack our rook, which is a good idea. But the bishop defends the rook. And now we could just move the rook. Defended square with lots of scope. We're up 8 points of material. You see how we didn't even need to touch any of these pawns? That's the right way to play. Sometimes. So he attacks a pawn. Let's just improve our bishop, get it out of an attackable square. We can do whatever we want. I mean, I'm even gonna just challenge the rook openly. That our pawn structure doesn't matter here. And if he doesn't trade, and I mean, we'll just get our other rook in the game. We'll take all his stuff. Actually, maybe we can checkmate him. Maybe we can do that. Create some type of net. How do I do that? How do I mate this guy? Well, I'll just develop towards the center. I'll win free material, starting with this pawn, disconnecting his pawn chain. He's now hanging 3 separate pawns. Has absolutely no counterplay. And the resignation comes through. Let's look at the game. So we have, I guess, the start of an England gambit is what this is supposed to be. So we take, and he does this queen move. I think the idea is to at some point mess with us on this diagonal if we bring our bishop out, because it hits the pawn and some weird checks. Yeah. So we just bring a piece out towards the center. It does defend the pawn, but I don't really care about this pawn. It's kind of like in the Scandi when you just let that pawn go and just play, you know, d4 behind it or e4 behind it. Anyway, I develop a piece towards the center. And now here, when you develop the bishop out to try to protect the pawn, then they hit you with the queen move. So it's some theory. I don't want to go down any of that. So I just say, take the pawn if you want it. I really don't care. I'm just going to center and develop. And you can waste your turns. And then I just develop and center. +1. Can't complain, right? He takes my knight, so force move and development and center. +1.4. Development and center. +1.9, which is kind of crazy. And now it goes to +3.6, which is a lot. I long castle. And they're saying it's basically +4 here. So I'm not up anything, but because of my crazy lead in development, all of these pieces out, even the open bishop, and he has nothing moved but the queen. This is coming, his king's in the center. They say it's just GG's, game over. Okay, so I missed an opportunity here to go knight b5, immediately threatening this. So if I go here, he wants to defend the pawn. What's the best way to do that? I guess he has to go like king over, but that walks into e5. So I guess that's why it's a good move. Okay, so I missed the best computer way to take advantage of his terrible play, but it's still fine. I simply move my queen. It's still completely winning, but the knight move was more immediately explosive to the center. So I moved my queen because I didn't want to walk into any knight g6 ideas. Then he wastes this turn, and then I blow open the center. So I did it one move later. Center, just to get his king in the line of fire, to get my rook open, this bishop open, and at some point I'm going to jump my knight into the center. But I was waiting. And then free stuff. Free stuff, the game is over. And then improve a piece for free. Free stuff. +6. You know, forced move. Not forced, but might as well. Improve a piece for free. Forced move. Development, and it's going to be center next move. Forced move. Improve a piece and forced move because it was hanging. And then just hanging stuff. +8. So we have that one mistake. Brought us down to 93% accuracy. But that's not a mistake I care about. We still have a completely winning position. It's not like I spoiled anything. But yeah, it's a cool move. So hopefully this helps. Shows you how when they go for these gambits, even if you're not up material, just get that lead in development, and that's more than enough to help you win the game. And you don't need to be up +4, +6. Being up +1.5 is more than enough to, you know, play comfortably. So good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in my Discord. Goodbye.